Hello and welcome to the Tree Climbers Experience. You will have the opportunity today to experience what it's like to be a tree climber and climbing aloft in this tree. I will be your guide, Chad Bry. I have been climbing trees since I was a child, but professionally in 1997. I am actually a certified tree record climbing specialist, a certified arborist, a tree climbing champion. I've won the Minnesota chapter, the Western chapter, North America, and Jambo. I also take people tree climbing at the California State Fair with Tree Circus. Before we get started, we actually want to make sure the tree is safe as possible. We want to do what's called a tree assessment. In a tree assessment, we're going to look at the root flare of the tree, the trunk of the tree, the canopy of the tree. We're looking for any deadwood, crossing limbs, broken limbs, any animals that might be up there, or power lines. We want to make sure it's as safe as possible and mitigate our hazards. Next, we're going to use what's called a throw line to set our climbing line in the tree. A throw line is actually a small line that's about 1.75 to 2.2 millimeters, 8 ounces to 16-ounce bag, and what we do is from our tree assessment, we identify where we want to be tied into the tree. That nice solid union that's sturdy, is creating compression, that's our target. So once we hit our target with our throw line, I'll bring our throw line back down and isolate that union. Now what we can do is we can actually attach our climbing line to that and set our climbing line in the tree. Our climbing line is specifically designed for boriculture. It breaks at 5,400 pounds or greater. As a tree climber, your life depends on that climbing line and the equipment that you use that you go aloft with. So you make sure that it's all been inspected, checked, and also meets the ANSI Z133 standards. The same thing with your personal protective equipment, like the helmet that I'm wearing, the safety glasses that I'm wearing, because I want to make sure that I am safe from the risks that are involved with climbing trees. Climbing trees is actually one of the most highest risk professions within the US. Being safe allows me to continue my career and longevity in tree climbing, but also to have fun in the trees. What we use is a canopy anchor and SRS stationary rope system. With this system, it allows me to have one line that's solid, not moving, and then the other line allows me to pull back or retrieve the tree climbing system. We're going to use this system to ascend into the tree. So for the ascent, we're going to use actually 2 ascenders and a foot ascender. We have what's called our top ascender and our lower ascender. An ascender is designed just to go up and not come down. So I have a different system once I get aloft in a tree that I'm going to transfer over into. So as you notice, I have actually a foot stirrup that's going to go for my right foot, and then I have an ascender, a foot ascender for my left foot. And what this is going to allow me to do is going to allow me to walk up the side of the tree pretty much on rope. So if you can walk upstairs, you can literally climb a tree pretty easily. It does take some energy, a little bit of effort, and a little bit of muscle, but boys, girls, adults, men and women can all end up climbing trees. We have taken people climbing who are hearing impaired and also blind aloft in a tree. What we usually use is called a moving rope system when we take them aloft. Now all of a sudden I need to transfer from my ascending system into a descending system. I'm going to use what's called a rig. This rig is what's auto block system. It allows me to basically be locked off on the rope and be completely hands-free once the system is set. So now I've detached both my ascenders and tightened up my rig, and now I can fully let go and be free in the tree, but still be tied in. Anytime that we leave the ground, when our second foot leaves the ground, we want to make sure that we're safe and secure with some type of climbing system or a lanyard. So for climbing trees, I'm creating compression on that union with my weight or my load. The one thing is that all my climbing system, carabiners, rope, I know what that breaks at, but the tree is the unknown. Since the tree is the unknown because it is a living organism, that grows from the earth, from the seed and sapling, growing into a full-size tree up to 378 feet. Each tree is completely individual, but also we don't know what it breaks at. And that's sort of the contrast, or the understanding the climber needs to be able to comprehend, is what the tree possibly might break at, where its threshold is, to where our climbing gear is. So with our tree, what we want to do is we want to create compression on it and create more force going straight down, where we don't want to create leverage. Leverage is where we're actually compounding the forces. So it's just a little bit of basic physics is you need to understand and comprehend while you're doing tree climbing. The other part is that with that physics, we're engaging our mind, but also we have to engage our body and engage our spirit of climbing within the tree, because you're climbing a living organism. Now, being in the tree, as you move and climb, it's really like a dance. The interaction between the climber and the tree. The way the climber moves their hands, their feet, and transition from ascent to descent to limb walking to going out and coming back in. So now you see I'm transitioning into my descent, or basically limb walking. So here's where I'm placing my hands, my feet, and starting my dance with this tree. There's a gentleman named Dr. Alex Shigo. If you know his name, you know his research, you know his work. He's an amazing man who's been the sort of godfather of modern day arboriculture. One of the things I remember him telling me was that read the greats. So read about the great people within history of the world. But the other part also is that he said, go out and touch trees. One of the greats that he was talking about is like John Muir. So earlier we're talking about we're having a tree climbing experience. And even John Muir, as an explorer, an adventurer, he's actually climbed up trees in the middle of a storm just to experience what nature is like, what is going on. So now you can see where I'm transitioning up into the other leader of the tree. I'm going to use what's called my lanyard to secure myself. And then I'm going to transfer my climbing system from where it's a chokered system into a false crotch. The false crotch helps to protect the tree from my rope moving and creating wear and tear into the cambium layer of the tree itself. So if I was using a moving rope system compared to a stationary rope system, it helps to basically protect the tree from my rope, and also helps protect my rope from wear and tear. I'd like to take this opportunity now to share a little story with you about Tree Circus and the California State Fair. The first year we did it was in 2009, Tim Womack and myself. And that year we had this young little girl come in, and Tim came and introduced her to me as her friend. And I didn't realize until he came over and introduced her to me that she was actually blind. So normally, as you can see, I'm climbing on like an orange-yellow rope. I usually will instruct people to grab the orange rope or grab the red rope. And now all of a sudden I have to basically communicate with her to be successful to climb without using any color or descriptions, but more of feel and touch. So now all of a sudden I have to guide her on how to ascend in a tree climbing system and also how to descend. So we had a little bit of a conversation, had her feel the knots. What I needed her to do was sliding the knots up. So she started to ascend up. And then when she got to a place where the bell was at, I had her reach out and ring the bell. She was so excited and so happy. But the other part is she's aloft. She's literally hanging, not touching anything besides her harness that's around her body. And then when you come down, you have this other very unique sensation of falling or coming back to the ground, because he has gravitational pull and this descent. And so she comes back down. She has the biggest smile on her face. She's like, can I do it again? Can I do it again? And I said, okay, we'll go one more time, but you got to ask your parents first. She asked her parents. The parents are sure, go ahead. She ascends back up. Says, okay, reach out for the bell. She finds the bell, rings it really loud, and then she comes back down, biggest smile again. She's going to do it again, do it again. And I'm like, oh, we got more people that are waiting to go. And so ever since then, she's come back every year. The next year, she actually asked me to take her to outer space. And I'm like, the ceiling is only 31 feet and 7 inches. That's as far as I can take you. That is 31 and 7 inches closer to outer space I could possibly bring her. The tree climbing experience that we do at the California State Fair is part of Tree Circus. And Tree Circus also does a show all about what trees give us. At the end of the show, we're looking for a J word that trees give us. And this J word is actually jobs. For me, growing up as a child, I knew about engineer because my dad's an electrical engineer. I knew about doctors, lawyers, police officers, firefighters, but I had no idea that there's a profession of tree climbing. So you have noticed that my office is actually a tree. I'll use hand saws, pole saws, and chainsaws to cut out the dead limbs, the crossing limbs, the broken limbs, to make sure those trees are safe and healthy, but also there's times that I may need to remove a tree. Removing the tree can be very challenging and difficult or complex because you get into rigging, you get into more forces, so it even engages more of your mind and what you're doing in the tree. So you have to have a great intention of every move, every transition, and every cut that you make. Our intention actually comes from the choices we make every day. On average, we make 35,000 choices in a day. So imagine if you align all those choices with what's important to you. So I just want to take 1 second, pay attention to your surroundings, take in a deep breath, take a nice exhale, and just really take in what you're seeing in this tree climbing experience. So from this tree climbing experience, I really want to say thank you so much for being a part of this, for climbing with me, for going aloft. And before I sort of say my goodbyes, I want to just add one more piece to this whole experience. Is someone wrote that trees are basically poetry that's written from the earth to the sky. And so you can see how the structure of the tree is so unique. The flow of it is just something that's simply beautiful. And as these trees give all these gifts to us, it doesn't matter what race you come from, what color, what religion, how old you are or how young you are. Trees just give these gifts to us. So please share these gifts with other people. Please take care of yourself and also make sure that you are safe as well as your family and loved ones. One of the great things of this profession is that we all return home to our family and loved ones. Enjoy.